because your job is to educate the buyer on that day and time of the condition of the mechanicals in the house. Let's go right on that, warranty lady. So, yeah, you get that inspection report, and the great agent is going to say, let's just relax a moment, let's call the warranty that's on the home, and let's talk about, or maybe it's not on the home, but a buyer can put it on the home if it wasn't already negotiated. How can you handle that phone call that says, I've got a HVAC, something or other is beyond its useful life, it's working now, help me out?
This is where the home warranty rep or company can really come into play to help you keep the transaction together. You've got any mechanical system near its end of use life, but it's functioning fine. Your buyer's freaking out, I want the seller to pay for a whole new system. You know the seller doesn't have the money to do that, the deal's getting this close to falling apart. Pick up the phone and call your warranty rep. First of all, can you wait till we're done here? First of all, if it's functioning at the time that the contract goes into place, it's going to be covered. We can give that assurance to your buyer. The other thing that we can do is we may be able to help with some recommendations towards possibly some contractors that might be able to do the work in a reasonable fashion for a reasonable price. Your home inspectors can't do that, but sometimes your home warranty reps can. So that's how we can help hold that together. It doesn't necessarily just have to be the AC system. It could be any number of things. But providing that peace of mind and that assurance that that item that is functioning is going to be covered regardless of its age.
I want to talk a little bit about what Alan said about the HVAC, and also what Carmen said about it has to be functioning at the time the contract started. That is key. The inspection is a guide to you to find out what needs to be repaired, what you want to ask the seller to do. It doesn't matter to us whether it was functioning at an inspection. It has to be working the day that the warranty starts, and it has to be working properly. An HVAC system is a prime example. Two major things that an inspector, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you cannot take the unit apart. Okay. I would recommend always getting an HVAC inspection. They can take apart the unit. The two main things they're looking for is a crack in the heat exchanger, hole in the evaporator coil. Those are two things that take a very, very, very long time to happen, and they only happen when that particular system is running. So you buy a home in December, nobody can test the air conditioner. You don't have an HVAC inspection. They move in, June 1st they go to fire up the air conditioner, it doesn't come on. They find out there's a hole in the evaporator coil, it's going to be considered not in proper working order. So there's a difference between functioning and in proper working order. So again, use your warranty reps as a resource. I think Carmen and I both can look through an inspection report. We've both been agents, and we can help you with that. But the biggest piece of advice I could give you is always get an HVAC inspection. You can get that done for about $70.
Okay, this is something that comes into play oftentimes during an inspection, and I'm going to pull out a purchase agreement. This is language that realtors should know by heart. And why I'm going to read this, it's about the definition of a defect as outlined in the contract and as it relates to Indiana law. And then we're going to talk about why this is different from your perspective, how you define things, how you put things in your categories in your reports. But if the buyer reasonably believes that the inspection report reveals a defect with the property, under Indiana law, a defect means a condition that would have a significant adverse effect on the value of the property, that would significantly impair the health or safety of the future occupants of the property, or that if not repaired, removed, or replaced, would significantly shorten or adversely affect the expected normal life of the premises. So, no wording with regards to the cost of a repair, the cosmetic appeal of a repair, or beyond its useful life, but still working properly. So how is this definition the one that we're bound to follow, or that we're bound to at least educate our clients about? How is that different from how you guys operate?
In my inspection reports, and I believe it's with these guys too, we do safety, we do function, intended function, and then substantial expense to repair. And that's where I think our definition greatly differs from what she just read you. Quick poll, how many here in this room would think that 8 failed insulated seals in a house is a major defect? Raise your hand. 8 failed insulated seals in a house are a major defect. How many of you have to deal with that on inspection responses all the time?
The definitions of major defect between realtors and inspectors are not mutually exclusive, but they are different. You guys need to remember that at the end of the day, clients are paying us not just for a laundry list of defects or problems with the house, but also for our opinion and our expertise. So what we can mark as a major defect can vary depending on the age, the location, the type of house that we're dealing with, basically the context of the property. But there are some things that to us as inspectors are always going to be major defects. Anything that affects the immediate safety or habitability of a house is going to be a defect. So that generally means that anything plumbing or electrical related is going to get marked as a major. Anything that is substantially damaged or deteriorated is going to be usually marked as a major defect. And for us at least, anything that has the ability or may impact the sellers and cause them a great outlay of cash or a lot of heartache in the near future, to us is going to be a major defect. So that's why for us, 1 failed thermoseal on a window may not be a big deal. 8 of them is going to be a major defect because there's going to be some money involved and it's going to impact the value of the house, in our opinion. It's also worth bearing in mind that cosmetic things, drywall damage, stuff like that should never be marked as a major defect, but our rules are a little bit different than I think what the Indiana state law says.
For us, safety and liability issues are going to be primary. One of the questions we get quite often is, Alan, that's an 80-year-old house. Why did you write up that the garage door opener doesn't have the safety gate light beam? You know, it doesn't have GFCIs in the kitchen. You know, so what? This house was built prior to that being code. Well, the simple answer is, every time I open my paper and I see a child killed by a garage door, or I see a $5, $6, $7 GFCI that wasn't placed in there, I stop and ask myself, boy, I didn't inspect that house, did I? Because from a safety standpoint, first of all, just don't want anybody hurt, don't want anybody killed. From a liability standpoint, can you imagine making that phone call to the insurance agent? Hey, you know, this house we did, and so-and-so was killed with a garage door. Those are always, always, always going to be written up. And in the United States, you do not have to bring a home up to code unless you go in and do a renovation on the home. So if it's 80 years old and none of these things have been done, does that seller have to update that? The answer is no. Are we going to write it up? The answer is yes. What do you do about it? Best advice I could give you is under commit, over deliver. Tell the seller when you go in and see that old house, hey, expect to have to do some things on this house. Expect that, okay? It's probably going to come back. If you represent the buyer, tell the buyer, hey, I don't think we're going to get them to do anything on this house, okay? And then now you've got this nice gap. and to be honest with you, you know, we live in that gap. All of us do. How many times have you seen a transaction fall apart over some silly $5 ground fault interrupter? It's crazy. It's crazy. Most of these things need to be taken out of the equation prior to the inspection. And if they do show up on the inspection, the transaction can't be about those silly little things that can usually be taken care of. So my best advice.